Welcome back, rugby mates. It is Friday morning and the games kick off tomorrow, Greens. Very excited. Talk me through your movements, my friends.
Cardiff's my favourite trip. Max Boyce, hymns and arias, God Me Other Great Redeemer. You play against Wales, you don't feel as though you're playing against 15 people. You genuinely feel as though you're playing against the whole country. It's a lively bus trip in. I think Ollie Chesham's spoken about it in the week. There are some wonderful hand gestures from octogenarians and single-digit children, as in 5 and 6 year olds. It's you are brought up early to disrespect the English bus on the ride into Cardiff. It makes it all the more special, and it's a cracking fixture on a cracking day where there's an opportunity for the first game to take the lead in the Championship, the second game to take the lead in the Championship, and leave it for the third game to decide who does win the Championship. So set up nicely from the television and the viewer's perspective. And Wales-England games rarely fail to deliver in terms of intensity and quality.
And you've been all over England's rugby feed this week. Your hat-trick. Give me just a couple of minutes on that.
Yeah.
What a day.
Oh, incredible day. I mean, I think France can go past us. I think we scored 29 tries at Championship and 220 odd points. I think France currently on 189 and 26. So they could go past us. I think 01 was when Clive Woodward's England spring 01, were at their absolute best. It was an all-court team for 3 or 4 games, and that Cardiff game was right at the start of the Championship. I had Daft Peroxide Blonde. Amazing day.
I enjoyed your little skip, mate. Your little skip.
My dad had lost there many times, and England had lost there for 28 years on the trot, and he'd had a few beers. And it was, I think we were 40 points up, and the stadium was starting to empty in his section. And he stands up in his usual Lancastrian capacity and said, "Oi, you lot, I've been coming here for 30 years. I've been coming here for 40 years getting stuffed. Sit back down, watch and take your punishment." "Oh, sorry, Mr. Greenwood." You got a whole section of Welsh fans to sit back down and force them to take their medicine.
I can really imagine your dad doing that as well. I love that. Right, let's get away from misty-eyed 2001 and into the present day. So, God, it's a really fascinating game because I don't know, with the selection, with all the noise around the run that Wales are on and the emotion, I just don't know quite how to feel about it. Where are you?
Start of the week, Monday, clicked on Wales 6-1. They're down to 3-1 now, which is a far more. So if they play 4 times, England win 3, Wales win 1. I think it's far more realistic.
Yeah.
England go in as favourites. You can't suddenly make Wales favourites having played 16, lost 16. But there have been signs, certainly for Wales against Ireland at home. And you might say, well, the game was over, but at times at Murrayfield last week, their youngsters. I know Rogers went off. Roberts is going to play on the wing. He's a centre, but up that left-hand side. Me on the other. Blair Murray looks like a Shane Williams in waiting, and they've got players in positions that they're comfortable with playing. They're not out of position. They're with their club mates. Thomas Williams and Anscombe now at Gloucester. Llewellyn at Gloucester at 13, an out-and-out centre. The back row looks great. Any back row that I know they've put Rafael on the bench. Any back row that has Wainwright in. I worked with him in the Barbarians once, and I watched him play, and he's a fabulous rugby player. He really is. Their front five is doing a job, and competing. So it's a great team. But England go to Cardiff with a huge amount of confidence, and I had to do a double take at selection initially of. Sort of back row, Tom Willis dropped to go pace, to go Curry, Earl. No second row on the bench, just to go. Will Chesham and Itoje are made of steel. They'll play 70 minutes, which is, when it goes like that, great to be able to fill your bench with pace. And then in the backs, a lot of people are talking about trying to turn Freeman into the next Rico Ioane. So speed in the outside channel.
Where are you on that?
I think if we had to Freeman had to play for England at 13 at some stage.
Is it in Cardiff?
And why not?
Yeah,
If not now, then when? Look,
Yeah.
if you believe Steve's not experienced, he's going to Cardiff to win a game, but he also, in the back of his mind, has to play the long game, has to combine the short-term strategy with the long-term goal of winning a World Cup. Short-term strategy has to be to win a game. Long-term goal is to understand which players can play where. And you sort of feel it's de-risked, mitigating the cost of failure slightly by the fact that Freeman's going to play in the centre with Dingwall. So he's maybe only played 10 professional games in the centre. Most of them have been with Dingwall, and most of them have had Finn Smith at 10. The bench was the interesting one for me, with George Ford on the bench. So you've got 3 fly halves, and you have to consider what's my worst case scenario. My worst case scenario is 2 minutes into the game, Chesham and Freeman do a Darcy, Graham, Finn Russell, make a big tackle and clash heads either side, both gone. And then you go, okay, well, so we're playing now. Chandler, Cunningham, Smith goes into the second row. Back row covers nice. We've got bucketfuls of back row. Tom Willis comes back in. He's unlucky to have lost his starting position because for 50 minutes I thought he competed. He was as good as Doris and Aldrit and these sorts of players, outstanding. So your line out then becomes a small issue without Chesham. And then what do you do in the back line? So Ford, in the first 2 minutes, do you then go, well, Earl's my cover? So Earl goes into the centre. Giroud was close to man of the match for France last week in the centre. So that's okay, but it's making that's a double change in your back row. Or are you bringing Ford on and moving Finn Smith to centre? And how much game time have they had? So, like with all things, there's risk-reward. And this is a supremely risky selection. But if no one gets injured, it's like, well, I told you, my sports scientists have done their job. And they're good. So in and amongst the actual head-to-heads that we've got and the style with which England will play, which I think we should focus on, which is then they're going to keep playing. They're going to keep Finn Smith and Marcus Smith. They want to go front foot. You've got that back row, which you're going to put so much energy into. There's that sort of subplot, which everyone has. I mean, France now without Dupont have Lukaku, have Le Garec on the bench in a 7-1 split, which gives them a little bit less flexibility. So, but Lukaku could go to 10. We now know that Giroud can play. There's all this sort of little narratives taking place within the selections.
Okay, let's go back to your little question there about how England are going to play, because this is my big problem with England. Is I feel like we go from one extreme to another. We play or we kick. It doesn't seem we don't seem to have got that balance right between which tactic we're going for. And my nervousness as a punter is that we revert back to Wales. It's going to be a tight game. We're going to box kick everything inside the middle 2/3 of the pitch, and we're not going to play. That's my nervousness. Yeah. There's 2 things here that I want to investigate. The rumours of player-led power saying to Steve, listen, we're not going to...
Did you hear this on the slopes?
I heard this on the slopes of Val d'Isère from Shemi Alcott. Right. She told me all about this. No. It's been on a couple of rugby pods, which I've listened to. Backed up, by the way, with Ellis Genge in the change room pre-Italy, saying to the players on camera, lads, we've been given licence and we haven't had that before. Let's go out and use it. Now that seems to back up some of the stuff that the rumours. Yeah. Now I know pre-pod you kind of dismissed that, nonsense, Campo, but I don't know. I feel like there's something in there.
I think
and the question therefore is how we're going to play.
Is if you took a snippet, if you caught every little soundbite in a changing room, you would have heard pre-Scotland, Finn Smith and Freeman going, "Oh, let's go out and play today." Yeah. It's just okay, but. So not to dismiss but just to understand context and taking things out of, and have you got access to all sound and audio for every game? That then every backline in the world is going to go, God, let's rip it up today, man. Let's play. It's Twickenham at home. And then you go in and you get into certain positions, and maybe because of how the game plays. Look, the reality is, when we went back to kicking, or when we stopped playing in the last 30, having got 42 points to 17 up against Italy, and the bench came on and the disruption, we stopped playing a little bit and we looked... I mean, it's very clear that England have to play with pace and with tempo and with ball in hand. And
will they do that?
Yeah, there's no... I think the phrase is, once you've crossed the Rubicon, they've gone through a one-way door. Sometimes in life you go through two-way doors where you go, well, I can go back. If I don't like it, I can go.
But I'm going to challenge that thought, because it feels like we've done that in the past, and then we revert back. So that's what confuses me. Just wait and see.
Yeah. What won't happen is run it from everywhere, and then you go, well, I told you they'd kick it.
Yeah.
You have to kick it.
Of course.
You have to kick it. If you're stuck on a touchline on your own 10-metre line in the first minute from the restart, don't start booing because Alex Mitchell sticks a box kick up. You have to kick it.
Yeah.
It's having those chances where, in the mindset, what I saw was every time there was certainly in the first 50 minutes, they did go back to the disruption with the bench, really impacted England's ability to put Italy under pressure. And we got a consolation, right? The reality is the last 30 minutes we lost the game, sort of 7-5. And those 5 points were a consolation. So we lost that. But in the first 50, then if there was a turnover, bang, move it, shift it to space, go, run, set off, put pace on it. Itoje, look, bang, offload.
Quick one on Maro Itoje becoming the lead turnover in Six Nations history, potentially, during this game. Brian O'Driscoll is on 53, Maro Itoje 52. That's quite a statistic, isn't it? Yeah,
and it plays into Maro's stats. Maro is a defensive linesman. I mean, the great Lawrence Taylor of the New York Giants, he's as good as there's been in the last 10, 15 years in the Six Nations for playing without the ball. Defensive line out, maul sacks, ruck disruption, turnover, penalties won. He's an absolute nuisance.
We'll touch on this, I think, more on the pod that we'll record in review of the whole Six Nations, but he's done a pretty decent job, hasn't he, Maro, in terms of captaincy this tournament?
This weekend's a big one.
It's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah. It really is a big one. The crowd will be all over them. There will be times when England will be under the pump. His relationship with the referee, his team, making the right decisions, when to go for three, when to go for the corner. Winning on the road defines you really as a half-decent team. And so far, England under Maro have been on the road once and got turned over by Ireland. Wherever Wales are ranked, you are deafened by the noise. There will be times when Blair Murray sets off on a counter and that crowd roar and they start singing, and you'll be on your goal line and you'll be looking at, and you'll look into each other's eyes at that stage and you'll go, I'm glad he's here. Can they stand under pressure? Yeah.
So we're going to end England-Wales with a conversation about Wales, because we've really only spoken about England. And I'm eternally fascinated in rugby by that kind of juxtaposition, I suppose, of emotional kind of energy that can sometimes carry you forward as opposed to technical expertise. And of course, the big thing for Wales is, I feel from everything that I've read, seen, heard, they really believe, right? They really believe that they can do a job against England. And more importantly, Welsh fans really feel like that, always feel like that.
Yeah.
And what's your sort of assessment of their chances and where they are?
I mean, I list their team on paper. It's a decent team. Their units are strong. Their backline you can go at, though. They're good with the ball. They're really good with the ball. But their backline are young, and they were making big errors on the edges against Scotland. And that's why England can't go back to kicking, because where Wales are vulnerable is just collective wisdom between 11 to 15. Under pressure, white heat of a test match, team plays fast against you. They just haven't been on the field enough together. One of their youngsters will make more than one bad decision defensively. Bang, put it away.
Do you know what I find really fascinating about this game and why it could be a classic is because I think that everything that you've just said there about the connection in defence, particularly with Wales' young sort of back three, maybe include the outside centre as well, I think applies to England as well. And you've picked up on it in the past that, that has been an area of weakness. And I think we've potentially got two sides that are going to really test each other in the outside channels, because each one probably thinks that there's a weakness there.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcus has come a couple of times disconnected at 15, bench back on, Roebuck's back in, and he's back in. He has played for England, but this is his.
And we've got Freeman at 13, who's not played a great deal at 13.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. But good point. Well, mate, they are. But I've seen this Welsh back lot make errors.
Yeah.
And I feel as though England have tidied up that area without being word perfect.
Okay, before we leave,
I think the value that I think you can still get 5 to 6 to 1 on Wales leading at half time, England winning the game. I think there's a decent bit of value in that, with Wales having 75,000 people getting them up for it, and England just finding a way to win, because that's what they've started doing.
It's a classic Greenwood bet, half time, full time.
Mate, it comes in.
It comes in, yeah. Okay, we're going to leave Wales, England. Very excited, Greens, to get down there tomorrow. I know you're going down tonight. So you got a little warm up of you with
on the pitch.
Scott Quinnell.
Yeah,
on the pitch.
So I'll hopefully I'll nip over around the back and watch the under-20s who've got a chance of winning the Grand Slam down there, which will be great. But on the field, on the pitch tonight, the glass of champagne with my great Lions, Wales, School of Hard Knocks pal, Scott Quinnell, go in the change room. Yeah. Still, I love my sport. I love my great stadiums. I will never get tired of having a glass of champagne in the Welsh changing room with one of the great human beings on the planet, that's Scott Quinnell. And then tomorrow be hosting sort of 400-500 Welshmen and women. And trying to stand up in front of them and explain why I think England will win.
Brilliant. Good luck with that. Good luck. Okay, so we are going to move on to a little review of Ireland-France. We're not going to spend too long on it, but I think it's important for the context of this next game. And I'm just going to start, and I know that you're a little bit dismissive of this theory, but Ireland-France, I backed France last week, purely in the build-up, actually, to the game and the announcement of the 3 players retiring, and I just felt like...
No, you love France. You've got an unconscious bias for France.
Maybe I have.
It's got nothing to do with it. Don't now reinvent some
facts. Would you let me speak?
You're like
a
politician.
Would you let me speak? Would you let me speak? I just felt that there was a bit too much sentimentality in the build-up to the game, and I'm a big one for the psychology of the game and kind of figuring that out, even if it's completely wrong. I'm just giving you my thoughts, my theory. Okay.
So if you're playing cribbage, Peter O'Mahony would rip your eyes out if he wanted one for his knob with a jack.
Right. Okay.
Right? So don't tell me Peter O'Mahony was misty-eyed and sentimental.
I'm being ridiculed. I'm
not ridiculing you. I do get it. I totally understand what you're saying. Sorry, apologies.
Okay, well, so that was it, and then I actually had another little nibble. The moment that Lowe got injured in the warm-up, I just think he is a big player for Ireland, and that was the other moment. I just felt, hang on, there's too much happening here.
So it's 4 or 5 days up. Look, we will get on to France because they were unbelievable. But 4 or 5 days later on, you're looking at the fact that Hansen unavailable. Lowe pulls out lastminute.com. There's absolutely no question Bundy Aki, when he got that stray boot to the face from Mo Fana, just was a shadow of himself. They then end up with a backline that's like, what's that backline? So things, on a big day like that, when you need precision, they huffed and they puffed for 20 minutes and couldn't score. And Gouillard is absolutely smashing, and he's getting Prendergast man and ball, or Prendergast is getting it away, but he's getting hit. They're getting physically body shots, it's rope-a-dope, and Ireland are going at them and at them and at them, and they get their one chance and go up to the score, and it's like 5-0. Like, how's the scoreboard 5-0 here? And it just gave France all that confidence to go and build on it, and it was an incredible breakdown battle. The levels of physicality were absolutely immense. It was the sort of standout physical performance of the championship, and France will rue what happened at Twickenham, but they go into the final day 1 point above England and 2 points above Ireland, and they've got a home game, and they're close to 10-1 on to win the title. So they've given themselves a chance. It'll be Sean Edwards' 6th title, but more importantly, for these French players like Boudouin, Giroud, off the bench, young Bielbieri, he's got 17 in 19. Penaud can take Blanco's record for tries, and Blanco took 91 tests, and Penaud's done it in 55. It was an extraordinary performance by France, and sometimes you come up against a team on a certain day and they're unplayable. And France beat everyone in the world last week with that performance. It was that level, and it's interesting to hear, even at half-time, it was tight. You talk about emotion, and you flip it around, and Dupont goes off and was in tears at half-time, and players have spoken about seeing their teammate in that hole, understanding he'll have known it was his ACL, and then it was 6 to 9 months out, and that emotion for France played into it in the second half. So Ireland didn't take their chances. McCarthy was a crazy yellow. France score immediately, and it just starts to unravel, and it was a tough watch for an Irish fan. It was a brilliant watch for a French and a neutral.
Just a quick word on Ireland in big tournaments. It feels like they've got a little chip on their shoulder now. The
stick, unfortunately, that they can continue to be beaten with until they make a semi-final and final is, ooh, they can't do it. And whatever, it's an argument they can't win in the media. It's an argument they can't win with non-Irish fans. In the Six Nations, just on the back of that one win, you can't stick any label other than this has been a magnificent Ireland team for the last 3 or 4 years. You're defying data, stats, win record.
Fair play. Okay, let's move to Scotland, who, of course, have got a monumental challenge in France. They were on fire in patches against Wales, and then sort of took their foot off the gas a little bit.
They got to 35-8. You've got Paris the next weekend. Finn, get yourself off, kid. And he was just one of multiple changes that took the energy and momentum out of the Scottish performance. But if you look at it for the first 50, ruthless. They're really good. What stick can you beat Scotland with? Well, when they came up against the power of Ireland at Murrayfield, they disappeared, and that's the worry about going to Paris. So that constant battle to be able to match the big teams physically to allow a backline that's as good as any backline in the world.
It really is at the minute.
I mean, if you think all 7 of them could go on a Lions tour, and Tuipulotu probably is going to get the benefit of the doubt because of he's got enough credit in the bank and he's not even playing, and Jordan steps in at 12 and bags 2, and he's now a genuine contender as a bolter to go. And of course the unfortunate Ollie Lawrence, that's one less of the top class centres out of the loop. Big blow to lose Dempsey. I know Matt Fagerson comes in, but Dempsey's been belligerent, powerful, huge number of ball carries. To go to Paris without their sort of starting 8 is a bit of a blow. I mean, France back on the 7-1 split on the power. But more importantly for me, it's just the players that don't get talked about all the time in the pub who've been awesome. Gross at Lucid, Gouillard in the second row, Boudouin in the back row. Yeah, we sort of know about Aldrit, but Kroos is there, Richard Hill. Out behind, Fiku comes straight back in. He's been missing because Barassi's out. He's a half-decent bloke to sort of bring back in. You talk about Dingwall being a glue player. Fiku's been one of the great glue players for the last decade. There is nothing to lose. I mean, you say something like that, and then you go, well, your dignity, if you get beat by 60, your Lions slot, if you get absolutely hammered. So, Scotland want to go out and play, and they won't change. It's a dangerous game for Scotland. It's a wonderful opportunity, but it's a double-edged sword. And I think it's why all three of the fixtures, can France be as good as they were last week, in which case what a joy to be a rugby fan watching them with the Marseillaise banging out. Italy, can they smell blood? They're only 1 point in front of Wales, and they play first. They don't want to come away with nothing, because then they'll be terrified of a 45-40 game in Cardiff, and Wales lose but pick up the double bonus point, and Italy get the wooden spoon. It's just the narrative around Saturday. It's a dream for Tom Harrison, CEO of the Six Nations right now, whilst they're currently going to market for rights, that they've got a Super Saturday that will smash it out of the park for all the channels and all the numbers.
Yeah.
Gives them some negotiating. That's a side issue, but it's about the relevance and the narrative of not going to a Super Saturday where same teams won. If Ireland had beaten France, that Super Saturday's over. Ireland have won the title before they even kick off. They won the weekend before, or they go to Italy, and so it's fab. Which game are we talking about?
Is there a danger for France that they are so overconfident, which French sides in the past have been, that they slightly underestimate Scotland, who are coming in with what you've already said is probably the best backline in the tournament? And by the way, France...
No is the answer to that question.
No, really?
I think that there have been some really interesting games between Scotland and France, or France v Scotland recently. Scotland won there a few years back. I think they got within 2 last time. I think what's happened, France have had to go into those games. We've got to win with a bonus point to have a chance of winning the title. And that's a danger. They don't go into that with this title. They know that a win wins them the title. So there's no concern about 4 tries. The points difference is on their side. England can only get to 20. I just don't see France being loose. The only time they're loose in this game is if they go 40 points up and it's won, and they're all celebrating and the Marseillaise are banging out, and Scotland can score 21 points the last 5 minutes, like Wales did against Scotland.
And by the way, my position still on France is that the singular greatest thing about the side, I think, is their defence at the minute. I mean, they are phenomenal. Whilst, of course, being fluid in attack and offloading, etc. Okay.
But just a very quick one on bonus points, which sometimes gets lost. I do like the bonus point system. It forces you to stay on the ball or keep fighting in games. Why do I talk about that? Wales's desire to stay in the game and pick something up last week means they could avoid the wooden spoon without winning a game of rugby. Conversely, top of the tables, you realise how damaging it can be. Ireland were 27-10 points up against England. In fact, they were 27-15 up the left-hand side in England's 22 with 80 minutes on the clock. I mean, the game was over. England win a pen, go at the other end, and Tommy Freeman scores and nick a point. And you go into the final round of the championship, and Ireland have 14 and England have 15.
You said it at the time. You said that's a big bonus point. Yeah.
Huge bonus. And there is a realistic chance that 3 teams end up played 5, won 4, lost 1. And it's done on bonus points. The fact that France's points difference is miles ahead actually is fair. But anyway, bonus points, big fan, I think, is the headline.
Ireland, Italy, what do we expect?
21-17, they were losing to England at half-time. They had a chance in the 42nd minute and had to score. up the left-hand side, and they threw the dreaded curse of the coach to throw a miss pass as opposed to drop Brexin under the post 24-21. You're like, oh my God, what's happening here? Really played. Have been super competitive most of their games. Okay, let's put one spin on it. There's too much emotion around Ireland, and the three lads, it is their last game, and they're all misty-eyed. And they can't see the ball because they're crying with tears because it's been 140 games. All this time, they've changed their 10. They've had their bubble burst. They're deflated from chance of a three-peat. Italy at home, Brexham Menoncello might again be the midfield of the tournament. And Campo, who's nicking another 5-pointer from nothing.
God, he's exciting, isn't
yeah,
he?
It's great. It should be a points fest. You've got to have one eye on a 200-pointer and opening up in the first with two teams who want to go out and play. So
we can't really talk about the Ireland-Italy game without talking about Prendergast and Crowley. Again, I go to the psychology of it with a young player like Prendergast who drops to the bench, and your position, I know pre-pod was, look, Crowley's been a great squad player during this tournament, and he deserves his chance. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as that? I mean, where?
I think so. I do. I think it's a squad. Mm. It is a squad, and Prendergast will get time back out on the field. But the baton change happens, and it's been a nip and tuck call at 10, and a kid who's been great for us for the last 2 years has had no game time at 10. Away you go.
Yeah, okay. So just on the Prendergast theme again, what was your analysis of his performance against France? I felt like he went pretty well, really. Despite the loss. I mean, you definitely couldn't pin Ireland's loss on Prendergast, and I like the way he continued to play even in the last.
He's a good player. I mean, he's a good player. It's a steep learning curve. He's come up against an immovable object in France on that occasion. He's probably looked outside him and thought, where's Jimmy Lowe? Where's Mac Hansen? Why is Bundy Aki not quite feeling right? And young Prendergast was probably thinking, I've got everything we've tried, we can't do. It's tough for a 10, trying to cajole it. So it's going to be a cracking call to see who Farrell takes.
Yeah. It's really interesting
10.
listening to you talking about the Prendergast Crowley thing, because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking it through. And so my instinct, right, is this young kid I think he's the real deal. I really do think he's a great player, and he's young. And my instinct is get him back on the horse against Italy, let him play, let him build his confidence after having a bit of a knock. But you're so unemotional about it. You're like, no. Crowley comes in, squad player, great.
Back on World Cup.
Totally different sort of mindset, I suppose, the way if I was coach thinking about it. And it's it's really interesting juxtaposition, I suppose, but our two positions there.
Did he drop Jono? He had Jono on the bench. Martin Johnson was on the bench. Lawrence, we played Italy one year and we looked over to the touchline and off the bench came Johnson, Delalio, Leonard and Dawson. But
that's a different thing, mate. There you go. What you're talking about there is hugely experienced players.
Yeah, but they got not at the time. Being benched, being dropped, and having that conversation and being number 22 sometime in the modern game is a critical skill to have. I think it's a really clever selection.
Yeah.
With so many different lenses on the same topic. I think I've probably covered the topic enough.
We have. Yeah, we have. Okay. That is all the games covered. We've talked about it. It's going to be an epic last weekend. But let's touch on the Lions selection for last week. Should we do that? Or have you got your team?
I have, yeah. A few more Scots, obviously. Schumann at loosehead. George in Hawkins. Sheehan scored and was good. Schumann, Sheehan, Stewart, Gilchrist, Chesham, Morgan, Curry, Dempsey, Ben White, Finn Russell, Slyto, much good it's done him, Jordan Jones, Graham Kinghorn. I mean, I've had 6 Scottish backs in it. You could throw Freeman in instead of Graham, but Graham was just so good.
Yeah.
Just so good. Blair Murray was in the conversation. Marcus Smith was in the chat. Thomas Williams was in the chat. Duane was in the chat. I mean, the back row could have been Earl Willis Faletau. Could have been, actually, let me go, could have been Earl Ritchie Faletau. If you said that, you're like, wow. So lots of strong performances and lots of debate.
Oh, they're doing the Lions.
You get tickets.
Yeah,
You get tickets
2,000 people. 2,000 people are going to get tickets. It's a bit like NFL draft, isn't it? They're kind of, which I like, by the way.
Great initiative, tickets to it, to selection, and there'll be some nervous lads, but there's lots of donkeys from Shrek at the moment. Lots of people jumping up and down, shouting, pick me. There is some European rugby before them, which will help. Jack Willis. Players. I mean, Courtney Laws. I don't think he's retired yet, has he?
No.
Faletau's suddenly, at the age of 47, still absolute class.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, wow, he wasn't in the...
Tom
in the Jordan wasn't anywhere near discussions at the start. Who else has gone? Blair Murray. It's not inconceivable that Elliot Daly has suddenly found himself picked in all 3 tests in 2017. Double Lion.
You know, the thing that works for Elliot Daly, I've always felt like we don't talk about it enough, is his ability to unleash a howitzer from inside his own half to nick 3 points, which he did in New Zealand.
Yeah.
For me, that is massive. It's absolutely massive in games where it's so tight. And I never think it is given enough credit, that skill set.
Yeah, the old... Can you name the Welshman who kicks the longest?
Paul Thorburn, mate.
Good man, yeah,
Paul
well
Thorburn.
done. Yeah.
Extraordinary
About
kick.
60 metres.
Yeah, with a ball that weighs twice the weight of...
With boots above the ankles, 8 studs,
bit of sand.
4-kilo ball... Bit of sand, wallop. The distance was in yards. We hadn't gone metric.
Yes, love it. So look, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into Lions selection next week, where we do a full review of the Six Nations and really look at the runners and the riders for the Lions tour. But Green, it's been a pleasure as always. Enjoy Wales. Excited to see you down there.
Good to see you doing a day's work back on, you know. Someone's put a shift in this week. Just getting the slopes.
By the way, Grayson was on good form on the slopes. Yeah.
Oh, he's good. He's a good tourist. Paul Grayson, you're a good tourist.
He is. He's
very good. Quietly under the radar.
He is, isn't he? But he's always there.
Yeah. Or literally like Mr. Ben. As if by magic, Mr. Ben appeared. Kids, you'll have to Google that one.
Yeah. Paul Grayson has great observational humour. He just kind of lets everything.
He's from Chorley, where the listener comes first. He's Peter Kay's brother, basically.
Love it. Okay, team. Thanks for watching. We shall see you next week. It's going to be epic.